Hey, today's my birthday and I got the best gift ever. My computer broke down, so I had to reinstall Windows and I lost access to all the files and the folders that I used to make videos. Which means that I'm winging it right now. But luckily, I do have some friends which live in Germany, and I asked them for something that's more contemporary, and they sent me this. And I thought that this is actually a really great opportunity to have a topic around the subject. Now, I'm warning you, there's going to be Romanian letters on the screen. Please do not get frightened. I will translate. I will hold your hand. For some reason, as I mentioned before, every time I show a Romanian article, you guys freak out. I don't know why, but it is. Like, I see it on the analytics. The moment the Romanian squiggly letters appear on the screen, people tune out. So, apparently the oil, as well as the butter, is becoming a lot more expensive in Germany. How much more expensive? By 50%. Now, what this means is that everything that uses oil and butter to make is going to be more expensive. So think about things like ice cream, restaurants. I mean, the restaurant industry is going to be the most affected by this change. Because it's not just the fact that it's going to be more expensive. No. You can't find them. Like, this actually shocked me when I spoke with one of my friends from Germany. They said that they can't find cooking oil. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it's just in their city. But then I asked other people, and they're telling me the same. Like, Romanians are asking their parents from home in Romania to send them cooking oil. Now, I want to address something, and this is the reason that I made this video, because there are people with the wrong mindset. And they're with the wrong mindset because they do not understand economics at all. And the argument for these people is when you tell them, look, cooking oil is becoming impossible to find, they're going to think it's like, well, I don't use cooking oil anyway. You know, I cook with butter because it's more healthy. So I cook with butter and I don't care if the cooking oil becomes 100 times more expensive. But what these people don't understand is that when that happens, like if you have people who cook with oil, and then the oil is something that they can't afford or they can't find, do you know what those people do? They start cooking with butter. Like, you're not the only one that discovered the process, which means that butter now becomes more expensive because everyone wants to buy it. The demand increases, the supply goes down. And it's not just with butter and oil. Like, I have seen this time and time again. It's like you're telling people, it's like, okay, gas prices are going up. And they're like, well, I don't care. I don't have a car anyway. I use public transport. It doesn't affect me. It's like, okay, but like if everyone with a car tomorrow would start using your fucking public transport, number one, you would be bunched up like sardines, so it would affect you. Number two, the price would go up because now all of the public transportations would require more maintenance, would require probably to buy extra vehicles to deal with the upcoming surge in people that used to drive car, but now they're driving public transport. So it does affect you. Like, honestly, this idea that you are secluded from the great economy just because you don't do what everyone else does, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I used to have another example. In Romania, actually, I was talking with a guy and he pointed out, like, I don't care that the malls are closing and the other shops are closing during the pandemic because I shop from the farmer's market. And I'm like, okay, but like when everyone is going to shop at the farmer's market because there's no other place to shop from, what do you think is going to happen? And these people just don't understand the economy. They think it's like, I don't know, their life is isolated from everyone else. It's kind of the same with the people that go like buy an electric car. Just buy an electric car. Just spend $70,000. Just stop being poor. Buy an electric car. And okay, let's assume that happens. Everyone tomorrow buys a Tesla. The power grid wouldn't be able to handle the increase in demand. Like, you would short circuit the power grid. If literally every single person that has a car right now, tomorrow they would buy a Tesla, you would see short circuits. You would see the power grid catching fire. And on top of that, you would see the price for the megawatt exploding. Because the demand is higher, the supply remains the same. They don't teach you that in school, do they? I mean, giving kids an education, making sure that everyone knows how to read and write. Okay, but can they teach a little bit? Not a lot, okay? Like, I don't expect people to understand stonks, to understand what short selling is, but like at least supply and demand. Can we at least teach that in school so that people can make an educated decision, so that they don't say absurdities like, oh, it's okay if we shut down the economy. If only we can save one life. Like, surely nothing bad is going to happen down the road. Or if only we can print more money. You know, like, people can pay zero. They can pay zero and they can get free welfare. If only we print more money, what's the worst that can happen? If only we can shut down the nuclear reactors. I mean, why not? Like, all of these things are important. They're interconnected. And they do affect you, believe it or not. And they usually, like, the problem with this is that most people understand consequences when they happen right away. And this has been shown with social studies. When people get to face the consequences for their actions right away, they are more likely to make an informed and educated decision. But when the consequences happen far away, then people become a lot more irrational and make more dumb decisions. The perfect example has to be the United States. Like, in the US, if you're 18 years old and you have no income and you live with your parents and you go to a bank and you ask for a $20,000 loan to start your business, they're probably going to laugh you out of that bank. But if the same 18-year-old goes to the bank and asks for $100,000 to go to a university, they ask him to sign on the dotted line. And you can see how poor decision-making skills people have in the US, because now they're whining and they're crying about their student debt. Even though they read the contract, even though they knew what they were signing for, because the consequences were to happen 4 years down the line, they signed that paper. And now they're very upset because the consequences are catching up to them. If the consequences happen the next day, then I'm willing to bet most people would not sign on that dotted line unless they had a very good educated decision. And let's say in some cases they would need $70,000 in order to go to university, but the bank allows them to lend $140,000. Do you know what I noticed that some people do? They actually loan the maximum. They take all of the 140, even though they only need half. They take all of it. It makes absolutely no sense. It's bizarre. Like, it's so irrational. It's the worst decision making that you can possibly do. And I have seen people do the same in Europe. Like, let's say someone wants to become a driver for Uber, and they need a car. So they go to a bank and they make a loan for a car that's way more expensive than what they actually need for what they want to perform. Like, for example, they just have to do Uber Eats, right? Like, if you do Uber Eats, you're delivering food to people. It doesn't really matter if you drive a Volkswagen or a Trabant. You just need a car that takes you there. But they make a loan that's more than the car they need, the bare minimum, and then they struggle to repay it. And I definitely think that part of it is because people legitimately do not understand economics. They are purposefully being kept ignorant at the school level. Like, the schools do not teach you these things. I mean, I never knew how to make a bank loan at school. I never know how to repay a loan. I never knew the consequences for making a bank loan because they were never taught. Like, I had to learn this myself. And then you have all these people complaining and whining about politics, and sometimes they don't even know who to blame. I mean, the government can print money and they can blame Putin for it. It's bizarre. You know, like, you're looking at this like it's some sort of circus. And it's sad, but, like, hopefully, you know, you can educate people about it. Like, you can have a conversation with them. And I know it's boring to do. I know it's something that most people don't like to talk about. But it's necessary. It's necessary to at least, you know, like, the bare minimum, supply and demand. When the demand goes up, the supply goes down. So if everyone moves from cooking oil to butter, the price of butter explodes. If everyone was to drive an electric car tomorrow, your electric bill is going to explode. You're going to have to pay a lot more for your electricity because there's a bigger demand. And people, again, don't know this. And it's not that, like, they're evil, like, they know it and they don't want to admit. No, like, they legitimately don't understand. They literally do not understand what they are asking for. But anyway, right, let me know what you guys think. And don't forget to tune in to my birthday live stream. You're all invited. I even put a nice thumbnail with a cat. I mean, the cat is irresistible, right? And it's going to happen tonight, probably in around 4 hours from when I upload this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys there.